Hey everyone! Welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. So today I will be showing you this new deck that I got into my collection recently. This is a Kickstarter that I backed. It is called From Roots to Blooms, and it is an Oracle deck slash affirmation deck or messages deck that I saw in the Facebook group of Lisa Papez, Supportive Tarot. So I saw the first drafts of this deck being created. So it's created by Haley Wade. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. But I saw her post her initial drafts of this deck, and I was so hooked, from the start, the messages that it showed. And later on, I'll show you each card. But first, let's read what she says. So it says here, From Roots to Blooms is a deck rooted within the earth. Its messages are here to remind you of your worth and to hold space for where you are, always. My hope is that you feel encouraged and inspired to nurture yourself with help from these cards, From Roots to Blooms. And it comes in this magnetic opening box that opens all the way. So I really love that. It's actually my favorite style of box because it doesn't just awkwardly stand or, stop here. And so this and probably a two-part box is my favorite. And it says here, oh hi, let's explore you from roots to blooms. And this is the inside of the box. It has this ribbon which helps to pull out the cards. Let's put that to the side. And I want to spend some time on the guidebook. So it says, let's dig a little deeper. So it says here, From Roots to Blooms is an oracle deck and journal companion. So it's conceptualized, hand-drawn, and co-written by Haley, and generously co-written and edited by Joe Stepaniak. Oh, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. So here it tells you what the deck is. I like that it mentions what you will not find in the deck, and it explains why I probably don't get along with a lot of affirmation decks, because I feel that some affirmation decks are just too positive. So it says here toxic positivity, which I do see in a lot of affirmation decks, and I really don't resonate with those types of messages as well. So what you won't find in this deck is the toxic positivity, ableism, cultural appropriation, and spiritual bypassing. It has some additional information here, what toxic positivity is. And I really like that she spent some time talking about or informing the user what messages you will find here. And then it also tells you what you will find in the guidebook and the cards. So the roots, these are messages that speak to your root self, your authentic nature, or your shadow and hidden side. And then also the blooms, which shine a light on what is visible, uncovered, exposed, laid bare. And it says here, the blooms cards speak to your light, your presence, and your dreams and aspirations. But honestly, we also have the elements. And honestly, it's I don't necessarily categorize them as such. I really just pull a card from the deck, and whatever message that I get always seems spot on. So it also tells you some ways to use the cards, like a single pull, a 3-card pull. So like any oracle deck, you can pair it with tarot, you can use an elemental spread, or you can just draw intentionally from the deck. And this is also something that I absolutely love in this guidebook. It tells you, before you dig in, please consider, how does your body feel? What does it need? Do you have access to what you need? It also asks, how are you feeling mentally, and what emotions are you experiencing right now? And then it tells you when to rest and revisit the cards later. And I think this is absolutely important. When you're physically drained and not open to self-work, when you can't set aside whatever matters you're dealing with, you're feeling too overwhelmed to be introspective and self-reflective, and you don't feel safe delving into self-work at this time. And I like the term self-work. So it's not necessarily shadow work, it's self-work. I like that term. And I like that it makes you think, am I ready to do this work right now? It's not just something that you have to do this, you have to do shadow work, you have to face your fears or face your shadows, because it's not like that. And I love that this is stated here, because it gives you pause. You know, you just don't go diving into things that you're not ready for, and I love that. And then of course you go to the meanings of the cards, and for each card you have some journal prompts which you can use for your journaling practice. Yeah, so that is what the guidebook looks like. And at the end you here have descriptions of the blooms, the leaves. So these are other cards in the deck that are not the messages. So it's these colored ones like that. And then they are described at the end of the guidebook. So anyway, I've talked a lot about that. Let's go into the cards. These are the cards. They are in a linen finish, which is my favorite, although it does feel a little bit thin. Although linen finish decks are usually thinner, but this one particularly does feel a little bit thin. And if you are used to indie decks with really high GSM, you know, 350 to 400, you might feel this to be a little flimsy, although that has not been my experience with it. It just might feel that way, especially if you have a preference for thicker cardstock. But for me personally, I love linen finish decks, so I do like this, and I don't mind that it feels a little bit thin. I do want to note, however, that in the box, there is a lot of space left. So I'm not sure if it's because initially there might have been a thicker cardstock planned for this box, but because it's in linen, it takes up less space. But I also like to look at it that there is space for an expansion in the future. Anyway, these are the backs. They are not reversible if you like reading reversals for Oracle decks. It is not edged, and like I mentioned, it is linen, so it is quite bendy, but bounces back really, really well. Okay, so let me zoom you in so we can take a closer look at all of the cards. All right, so this is what the cards look like. It is numbered. It is not going to be in order because I have been using this deck. The typefaces are different across each card, and it's mostly black and white, but with some greens, like these cards. So I'm just going to be reading out the messages in case you're just listening to this. So if it's heavy, put it down, even if only for a bit. And then you have the keyword for wind. You have keywords trust, lift, and explore. Go touch the grass. And then for sun, energy, illumination, and guidance. Nutrients, you have keywords health, nourishment, and vitality. It's okay living a life that others don't get. I love that. You know, the messages here, they speak to me. You know, they're not just affirmation decks. It makes sense to me, and it really speaks to me, it feels, you know. So when I saw her drafts, I was like, I don't really like affirmation decks, but there's something about this deck, you know. So when the Kickstarter was launched, I backed it quite early. It says here, take a deep breath and trace up on the inhale, and then you have trace down on the exhale. So you have this practice that you can also do while you use these cards, and I think that is a really good mindfulness technique or practice when you have those I'm not sure, interactive things with cards. Make friends with change. Be who you need. I pulled this card, and at the time it was just like, my gosh, yes, I will be who I need. When it feels safe, go deeper. Release your regrets, fears, guilt, and shame. Then again, blooms. Keywords are abundance, authenticity, and attraction. Doubt kills more dreams than failure. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. Your sensuality is sacred, not shameful. Practice trusting yourself daily. It's losing focus. My camera is losing focus. Be human to the fullest. Don't feel bad about feeling. Joy happens in the now. Intentionally embrace it. Do something for your inner child today. Blow on me and make a wish. So yeah, those little touches, I love it. Stop comparing, criticizing, invalidating, punishing, hurting, shrinking yourself. So I think this might be a typo, but I don't really mind it. Their opinions are a reflection of them. Rest and reset your mind, body, and spirit. You don't need to be stressed or busy to be valuable. Very important. Find a routine that fits and show up for yourself. You know, these messages, they just really make me feel good about myself without being too positive. You know, it's not like I don't feel guilty about agreeing with the messages. Does that make sense? It's hard to explain, but you know, words really do matter to me. That's why I do have some decks that are great, but sometimes working with a guidebook, I feel like I don't resonate with how the author writes or the tone of how they write. I don't connect with it. So these cards or the words that Haley wrote really speak to me, and that's why I feel this deck is really special and I can get a lot of use out of it. You already have enough because you are enough. Moving slowly is still moving forward. Love this. Please don't believe everything you think. Fan your fire. This one is so good. Validate yourself before seeking acceptance elsewhere. Really, I love the phrases here. Hug yourself. You deserve tenderness. Acknowledge your fears. You are not too much, too sensitive, too broken to heal, too old to dream, behind in life, and too hard to love. You don't need to be available to everyone. Again, very, very good message. Wave this card around you to cleanse. You know, because for me, it just feels like when you see this card and when you thoughtfully or really focus on the message and think about it, it does do that task. So I like it. I really do. Here's that sign you've asked for. Balance is the goal. You know, I got a March reading, like a month ahead reading, and it was chock full of messages about balance. You know, and I also pulled this card recently, so I guess the universe is really telling me to, you know, to balance my work and my personal life at this time. This one is perspective. Then again, rain with keywords replenish, flow, and cleanse. Roots, depth, foundation, and strength. Make yourself rich by making your wants few. I accept my blank a little more today. So you can add your own message to this. Your voice and your perspective are valuable. And then leaves, receive, transmute, release. If it's out of your hands, don't keep it in your head. You know, I keep telling the people I work with, my team, whenever there's so many things that we have to resolve or to fix, I always tell them that, you know, we focus on the things that we can control, our sphere of control. If it's something that we can't fix, or if it's not something that we can do anything about at this point, we can't stress too much about it because we can't do anything about it. This type of message just, I don't know if Ailey is in my head, but everything, the messages that she wrote, it does speak to me, and it also speaks to my current experience. I also have the Align Heart Affirmations by Kimberly Tsan, and the messages there are really deep and really thought-provoking as well, but sometimes they're too much for my current experience. Really right now, I'm focused more on stresses at work. Some things in my personal life have not been great the past few weeks, but they're not as problematic, let's just say. And I think that this deck has is a balance, so it's not too much for me. And sometimes I feel like the Align Heart Affirmations deck is, because it's a little bit too or I don't really need that kind of support right now. This is enough for me. Find your boundaries and hold them. Where you plant seeds is where you'll notice growth. Whose expectation are you judging yourself against? And then again, Thorn. Discern, deflect, protect. Now is not forever. Water your garden first. You are not responsible for their reactions, emotions, or behaviors. It's okay to feel cracked or broken. That's where the water reaches the roots. Place me on your heart to receive love and support. And this is quite similar to the heart that is in Kim's deck as well, because you have a heart there that you place your finger on and for you to download the message. And yeah, I like those little touches. Talk to yourself like someone you love. Soil, grounded, sustained, at ease. Moon, intuition, reflection, cycles. What is bubbling up? Where do you feel it? And then quiet the mind and the soul will speak. So zooming out, just so you'll see how this shuffles. And of course, what did I do? Hold on. Okay. Of course, since this is a linen finished deck, it is bound to riffle shuffle really well. So it's not a surprise. I can riffle shuffle it really, really easily. And I do enjoy riffle shuffling it because that is a big part of my practice. Sometimes I relax myself just by shuffling cards. That's why I like these types of shuffleable cards like linen, the thinner matte ones that don't slip. So for the overhand, I also don't have a problem with this. It slips really well. Although it is a little bit bendy, so sometimes when I overhand, I bend the cards a bit, but that's something that I can adjust to. I can get jumpers from here as well. And if you choose cards by fanning, this deck fans out beautifully. So let me just shuffle overhand and see what message we can get for today, and then I'll also just read from the guidebook. Okay, so I think one is peeking out. Let's just choose this one. Go touch the grass. Let me read from the guidebook. So it is numbered. Okay, go touch the grass. Kick off your shoes, step outside, and let the ground beneath your feet awaken your senses. Our daily lives often separate us from the natural world, even though it offers us vital peace and rejuvenation. Intentionally grounding ourselves deeply to the earth gives us space to just be, even if only for that moment. By immersing ourselves in nature, we invite healing, creativity, and a deep sense of connection with all that surrounds us. Reconnect with the natural world and find comfort in its embrace. And then you have some prompts or questions. How has nature provided solace and healing for you in the past? How can you better express gratitude for the natural world and recognize your interconnectedness with it? And If there are barriers that separate you from nature, how can you find a way around them so you can intentionally connect to the natural world? So yeah, things to think about, practical advice, and really, really thoughtful cards. I love this deck, if it hasn't been obvious. I will be definitely linking where you can get this deck, because I think that there are still some copies available, as well as a link to Haley's channel, so that so you can also follow her and see what she has to say about this deck. And I don't know, I haven't really been pulling a lot from tarot lately, but for oracle cards, this I've been leaning towards more like supportive messages, and cards like this that like make me think and understand what I'm feeling. And yeah, I really think that these are well thought out, thoughtful cards, and I really enjoy working with them. Yeah. So that has been the flip through of the From Roots to Blooms Oracle deck by Haley. I hope you find this video helpful, and don't forget to click on the like button, and do consider subscribing to my channel. See you again next time. Bye!